The wind was sharp, cold like broken glass. Snowflakes danced in the air, but they felt like knives on Lyra's skin. She held her baby close to her chest, wrapping her in a thin blanket. The baby was shaking, her little face red from the cold. Lyra's hands were blue, but she didn't care about herself anymore. They were alone in the white wasteland, nothing but snow, silence, and fear. Her feet sank with every step, and her breath made clouds in the air. Each breath felt heavier than the last. She found a broken shelter, maybe an old science lab. Maybe just a ruin, it didn't matter. Walls were cracked, the roof half gone. But it blocked the wind. She sat in a corner, curled up, and rocked her baby slowly. The baby was crying, weak and soft. She didn't have much time. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she forced a smile and whispered, "She, my star." "Mama's here." She began to hum a lullaby. The one she sang every night before the world broke. It was the only thing she had left. Her voice was shaking. But she kept singing. Her body hurt, cold like stone, but she warmed her baby with everything. She had left sleep, little light, don't be scared of the snow. She sang Dream of the Sun. It will come back, you know. The wind howled outside. Like wolves crying, she closed her eyes for just a second, her head leaning back. Then she heard it. Crunch, crunch footsteps, slow and heavy, coming. Through the snow, her eyes flew open, her arms tightened around the baby. No one should be here. No one should find them. She crawled to the wall, staying low, hiding in the shadows. The footsteps stopped just outside. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it would break her ribs. Then silence, and then a sound. A metal door creaked open, slow and loud. She held her breath. Her baby was silent now, too cold to cry. Was it an enemy? A soldier from the labs? Or worse, one of the scavengers? She peeked from the corner. A tall figure stood in the doorway, wrapped in a dark coat. His face was covered with a silver mask. No eyes, no mouth. He didn't speak. He just stood there, watching. Lyra whispered, "Please, don't hurt us." The figure moved slowly. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver capsule. He rolled it gently across the floor. Toward her, it stopped near her foot. She picked it up with shaky hands. She recognized it, a heat capsule. Rare and powerful, it could warm a body in seconds. She didn't wait. She pressed it to her baby's chest. The baby gasped, then cried a real, loud, strong cry. Warmth spread through the small body and color returned to her cheeks, Lyra's. Eyes filled again, but this time with hope. She looked up to thank the stranger, but he was already turning away. He pointed with one hand toward the far mountains. Then, without a word, he stepped back into the storm and vanished. Lyra sat, frozen, unsure what just happened. Who was he? Why did he help? And how did he know where she was? She looked down at her baby, who was now sleeping peacefully. The lullaby still hung in the air like a memory. The snow outside still fell. But now it felt softer somehow, like something had changed. She didn't know who the masked man was, but deep inside, she knew this was not over. He had pointed her to something waiting in the mountains. She would go for her baby, for their future. And as she stepped outside into the cold once again, she whispered one more line of the lullaby, "Sleep, little star. The world will glow again." But behind her, far in the distance, the footsteps began again. The wind had slowed, but the cold was still deep in Lyra's bones. She walked slowly, one hand holding her baby, the other gripping the last heat capsule close to her chest. The stranger was gone, but his footprints were fresh in the snow. She followed them step by step. Each one led deeper into the white desert. The mountains in the distance looked sharp, like broken teeth, and above them, the sky glowed a strange blue, not the color of morning, but something else. The baby slept now, warmer than before. Lyra kept her hood up, her eyes on the path. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew one thing: someone out there had helped her, and she needed to find out why. She thought of turning back. But back meant the lab. Back meant the people who wanted her child and what they would do to her. No, there was no turning back. Hours passed, maybe more. The sun didn't rise the way it used to before the climate crash. Now light came in soft waves. Sometimes red, sometimes green. It made the snow glow like ice on fire. Suddenly, Lyra stopped. There in the snow, something shimmered. She walked closer. It was metal, shaped like a handprint, glowing faintly blue. She pressed her hand to it, not knowing why, just feeling it was right. The ground opened, a silent door in the earth. No sound, no warning. A staircase led down into darkness. Lyra hesitated. But her baby stirred in her arms, and she remembered the masked figure. He had pointed this way. She took the first step, then another. The door closed above her, sealing out the storm. The stairs ended in a tunnel, lit by weak green lights on the walls. Old tech, forgotten tech. She could smell metal and dust. Maybe this was a fallout shelter. Maybe an old research vault. Then she saw a message written on the wall in faded paint. Project EOS, life can begin again. Her heart jumped. She had heard those words before, back in the lab, whispered by scientists late at night. But what was Project EOS? Why had they hidden it? The tunnel opened into a small chamber, filled with strange machines. At the center stood a glass table with another heat capsule. And next to it, food, water, clean clothes. She looked around. No one was here, no footsteps, no doors, but someone had left these things for her. She picked up a folded note next to the supplies. Only one line was written. Your child is not just a survivor. She is a beginning. Lyra stepped back, confused. How did they know? How did they find her? Suddenly, a light blinked in the corner, a camera. She was being watched. Then a screen lit up. A voice came through, deep and calm, but not fully human. Lyra, we've been waiting. She froze. Who are you? Asked, holding her baby tighter. The voice replied, you've met one of us. The one without a face. He is a guardian, created long ago to protect the future. Lyra's voice cracked. Why help me? Why her? The voice paused, because inside your child is the last piece of Earth's pure code. The last unbroken sequence. She can do what the machines and leaders could not heal the planet. Lyra shook her head. She's just a baby, not for long, the voice answered. But you must protect her. Many others know what she is, and they will come. The screen shut off. The tunnel lights turned red for a moment, flashing once, then silence. Lyra sat beside the table, fed her baby slowly, and wrapped her in clean cloth. Her mind raced with questions, fear, hope. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but now she knew something big. Her child was not just a daughter, but a key somewhere above. The storm roared again, and roared. Far away, in the white snow, a red drone light blinked in the distance, watching, hunting. The shelter was quiet. Machines blinked softly, giving off a pale green light. Lyra sat beside her sleeping baby, staring at the cold wall. She had food now, water, and a little warmth. But her mind wasn't still, not after what the voice said. Not after hearing that word again, code. She thought she had escaped it. The white rooms, the glowing needles, the silent people in masks, back in the labs. They called her Subject 14. They never said her real name, but they called the baby something else. EOS Seed. She remembered the first time she saw her baby. In the mirror, tiny, glowing under a scan. Doctors whispered. Shocked by what they found, her child had a sequence never seen before. Not man-made, not random, but perfect, pure, untouched DNA. Like Earth used to have before the wars, before the machines. They said her baby could restart the planet. They said her blood could wake the soil, clean the oceans, fix the sky. Lyra didn't understand it at first. She was just a carrier, a body, a test case. They didn't care about her, only the result, only the code. But when she heard the crying in the lab nursery, when she saw her child's eyes bright like two suns, she knew she couldn't leave her there. So she ran, with the help of one man, the only one who ever called her by her name. His name was Kale, a young scientist with a secret heart. He believed the world didn't deserve another weapon. He believed in life, not power. He helped Lyra escape through a secret tunnel. He died minutes later, buying her time. But not before whispering one thing to her. She carries the beginning of everything. Never stop running, now in this strange underground place. Lyra finally understood what he meant. The machines weren't for war, they were for rebirth. Some people, long ago, had built a backup plan, not in code or bombs. But in blood, her baby was the answer, but also the target. She looked down at the child sleeping beside her, so small, so quiet, wrapped in soft cloth. Lyra touched the baby's hand and whispered, "You're more than I ever was. You're more than they'll ever be." Then she heard something. A soft hiss, a mechanical sound. A wall behind her shifted, opening to reveal a hidden hallway. Blue lights lit the path. At the end, a door. Pulsing gently with light, she stepped forward, holding her child. The door scanned her, beeped, then opened. Inside was a small room, round and warm. In the center, a glowing chair. Above it, strange symbols floated in the air, slowly spinning. The voice returned. Not from a speaker this time, but from everywhere. "The child is the seed," it said, "but your blood unlocked the door." Lyra stood still. "My blood?" "Yes," the voice answered. "You are the carrier of the lost code buried deep inside you. Hidden for generations, waiting to rise again." Lyra's heart beat faster. "So? I was chosen." "No," said the voice. "You were. Born like all life should be." She stepped closer to the glowing chair. The baby reached out with her tiny hand, touching the light. It shimmered, reacting to her touch. Symbols rearranged, lights pulsed faster. The air changed warmer, full of soft energy. Like spring trapped in metal, the voice spoke one last time. "Your child is not just hope, she is design. She is balance." Suddenly, an alarm sounded, red lights flashed. The ground shook slightly. "They found you," the voice warned. "You must leave now. Follow the backup path." A new door opened on the left wall, leading into darkness. Lyra turned, held her child close, and ran. Behind her, the machines began to power down, hiding their secret again. But something had changed in her now. She was not just a mother, not just a survivor. She was part of the code too, and for the first time, she didn't feel alone. The hatch closed behind her with a heavy thud. Silence returned, but it was not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that holds its breath, waiting for something to break it. Lyra stood alone again. Back on the surface, the cold bit into her skin, even through the new clothes. But her baby was warm now, wrapped in layers, resting calmly. The wind had changed. It wasn't howling anymore. It was listening. She looked behind her. No one there, but in the snow beside her own prints, another set. They were fresh, deep, and not from the masked stranger. These were smaller, lighter, and barefoot. She froze. Who would walk barefoot in this frozen world? It didn't make sense. She knelt and touched the footprints, still warm, just barely. Whoever made them was close. She scanned the horizon. White hills rolled in every direction. The sky had darkened, glowing faintly purple. Somewhere in the distance, thunder cracked, but it wasn't from the sky. It came from the ground. She turned and kept walking toward the mountains. She had to move, had to trust the voice, the map it gave her. Somewhere ahead was a beacon point. That's what. It was called on the flickering screen before the alarm had forced her to run. She walked for hours, maybe more. Time didn't feel normal out here. The sun was stuck, hanging low in the sky like a broken lamp. Then she saw it. A tree, just one, standing tall in the snow. With black bark and glowing red leaves, it shouldn't exist here. This land was dead, frozen for over 50 years. No life, no growth, no color, yet the tree stood untouched by wind or frost. She stepped closer. There were carvings on the bark, symbols like the ones in the lab. Under the tree, something was waiting, a package wrapped in a silver cloth, and a note. Keep moving. You're not the only one who remembers. Lyra blinked, stunned. Someone else was out there watching, guiding, but who? One of the Guardians, a rebel from the old science teams. She picked up the package and unwrapped it. Inside was a small light device, like a compass. It glowed green when pointed east, toward the highest mountain. She turned to go, but suddenly a sound footsteps again, but not heavy like the masked man. Not soft like before. These were mechanical, cold, regular. She ducked low behind the tree, holding her baby tight, listening. A group appeared over the hill. 3 figures in black armor. No faces, just visors. They scanned the snow with blue beams. Looking for heat, Lyra's heart raced. She pressed her child against her chest, hoping the baby stayed asleep. The tree above them shimmered, and then something strange happened. The red leaves began to fall. Each one glowed. Then vanished before touching the ground. The soldiers stopped, confused. One of them spoke through a radio. Signal lost. There was a trace, but it's gone. They looked around once more, then turned away as they vanished back over the hill. Lyra let out a slow breath. The tree had hidden her. Somehow, she looked up at it, and for the first time, she whispered, "Thank you." Then she saw something new, a carving deep in the bark. Shaped like a spiral with dots around it. She had seen that shape before on her baby's birth report. It was a symbol used in ancient Earth DNA maps called the seed spiral. This tree wasn't just alive, it was connected to her child. Every step she took, the world seemed to wake up around her, as if the earth itself had been waiting, not for a hero, not for a warrior, but for a mother and her child. She turned toward the mountains once more, the glowing compass in her hand. Snow fell around her again. But now it felt different. Not an end, but a beginning, and far behind her. Where she had hidden, the bare footprints in the snow had vanished, like they were. Never there at all. The mountain path was silent, not from peace, but from history. This place had been asleep for a long, long time. Lyra followed the green pulse of the compass. Each time it blinked, she felt a little less lost. Her baby stirred in the sling across. Her chest, quiet but awake. Bright eyes open, watching the world from warmth. They reached the ridge at sunset, though the sky didn't change much anymore. The air was colder here, sharp and still. And below the edge of the cliff, there it was, a city buried under glassy ice and snow. Tall towers frozen mid-collapse, rooftops bent like tired arms. A ghost of metal and light sleeping beneath frost. She stood in awe. The compass blinked faster now. This was it, the beacon point, but no lights shone from the city. No people, no machines. Just quiet white ruins wrapped in cold breath. The only thing that moved was the wind, and yet something about the silence felt alive. Lyra began her descent. Walking carefully down the icy slope, her boots cracked the frozen ground with every step. She held the baby close, her small warmth the only heat in the long world. At the bottom, the city was even stranger. Windows were frosted from the inside. Statues had fallen over but didn't break. Everything was too still, too perfect. And then she saw it, a tower marked with a symbol she had seen before. The spiral, the dots, the code. She walked toward it. Heart pounding. There was a large door, half open, inside, complete darkness. But as she stepped in, the lights blinked on. One by one, soft blue lamps lit the hallway. Reacting to her movement, this place still had power. Someone had kept it alive. She followed the hall deeper. Into the tower. Walls were covered in screens, broken wires, and warning messages. But then one screen flickered on. A recording played. An old man's voice, tired but clear. If anyone hears this, know that we tried. Project EOS failed here because we were afraid. We locked it away, thinking the world wasn't ready. But if you're listening, maybe it is now. The message ended. Lyra touched the screen, but it turned to static. She walked further. Into a round chamber. In the center stood a cradle, not for a baby, but for energy. It glowed faintly, with a pulse that almost matched her child's breath. She reached out, the baby reached too, and the moment they both touched the edge of the machine, the lights exploded on. The chamber woke. The tower above began to hum. Screens flickered, doors unlocked, wires glowed blue like veins in the walls. A voice, this time female, echoed through the room. Artificial but soft. DNA match confirmed. Seed carrier present. Cycle initiation. Possible. Lyra stepped back. What cycle? She whispered. Cycle 1. Terraforming. The voice answered. Awakening dormant Earth systems. Her baby giggled, a tiny, sweet sound, and the glowing system grew brighter. Lyra stared in disbelief. The city wasn't just a ruin. It was a machine sleeping beneath the snow, waiting for one match, waiting for her child. But before she could speak again, another alert flashed. Incoming signal threat detected. Cameras around the tower showed 3 black ships descending. From the clouds, sleek, silent, marked with a logo of Echelon Corp, the very people who once owned her life. They had found her, and they weren't coming to help. The voice spoke again, calm but urgent. You must decide escape now, or activate the city. Lyra looked at the machine, then at her baby. She thought of Kale, of the masked guardian. Of the tree that had hidden her. She thought of the world her daughter deserved, and she whispered, "Show me what she was meant to do." The cradle pulsed once, and the ice outside began to melt. Asterisk snow melted slowly across the frozen city. Not fast, not loud, just enough to whisper, "Something has awakened." Lyra stood in the tower's heart, the cradle glowing brighter with every heartbeat. Her baby rested in her arms, calm and curious, eyes reflecting the light like mirrors. Outside, the air was changing. Winds had shifted, not cold now, but clean, like the first breath after rain. But peace was a fragile thing from the cracked glass dome above. She saw them, 3 black ships, circling like birds of prey. Echelon Corp, the ones who ran the biolabs, the ones who had called her a number, not a name. They were here, and they were landing. The tower's voice returned, quiet but urgent. External threat confirmed. City shield activation in 10 minutes. Lyra didn't move. She just stared at her child, the small face glowing with the warmth of something ancient, something alive. Then she whispered, "I need to see him." The voice responded, "Specify target." She closed her eyes. Kale. Scientist, registered as Kale M. Her voice broke. "He died, saving us." "I know, he's gone." There was silence. Then the lights dimmed. Data backup of subject Kale_M exists within Tower Echo. She gasped. "What?" Emotional imprint and knowledge logs available. Play back. She could barely nod. The room darkened. A warm light rose from the floor. Then he appeared. Not a full body, not real, but a memory, flickering like a dream. A young man with kind eyes, holding a notebook in one hand. He spoke without looking at her, like reading a message he left behind. If you're hearing this, then you made it, and she's alive, isn't she? Lyra stepped forward slowly, tears welled in her eyes. They told me she wasn't a baby, just a vessel, but when I saw the scan, I knew she was more than any machine. His voice cracked, just a little. Even in memory, I couldn't stop what they started, but I could give her one thing. You. They picked you because you were strong, but they never understood your heart. Lyra fell to her knees, her child still close. The hologram paused, then finished with a whisper. If this world survives, it will be because of love, not code. I loved you both. I always will. The image faded, but his words stayed, not on screens. But in her chest. Outside, the ships landed, metal doors hissed open. Black-suited soldiers stepped into the city, weapons ready, masks down. They were scanning for heat. The tower's voice returned. City shield, 2 minutes to activation. Lyra stood up. Her voice was steady now. Her fear gone. Prepare activation. Warning, remaining inside during activation may be fatal. She walked toward the cradle. I know. Would you like to say anything for legacy record? She looked down at her baby, kissed her forehead, then looked straight into the glowing sensors. Yes, she said, tell them. She was born free, and I chose to fight. Behind her, the enemy was getting closer. Their boots echoed through the broken streets, inside the cradle. Her baby blinked, and for the first time smiled. The light surged, rising like a wave outside. The tower's walls began to hum. Ice cracked, metal lifted. The city was coming alive and far. Above them, clouds swirled into color. The sky opened just a little, letting through a single beam of pure sunlight. The city was awake, not with noise, but with purpose. Lights glowed beneath the ice. Machines long forgotten began to breathe again. Metal flowers bloomed from cracked stone, and deep below, in the heart of the cradle, a spark was forming. Lyra stood at its center, holding her child. Soldiers outside the tower pounded on the doors. But she didn't run. The tower's voice whispered, activation sequence ready. Final catalyst required. One natural harmonic input. She didn't understand at first. Then she did. A song. That's what it wanted. Not a password, not a code. A voice. The one thing no machine could copy, no algorithm could fake. The one thing she had given her child every day, even in the cold, even in fear. Her lullaby, she closed. Her eyes took a breath, held her baby close, and began to sing, not loudly, just enough, soft, gentle. Real, sleep, little star. The sky is wide, dream of the sun. Where hope can hide, snow may fall, and winds may call. But morning comes. For one and all, the light in the cradle began to rise. The walls pulsed with rhythm, matching her melody. Outside, the soldiers paused. One of them dropped his weapon, staring at the sky. The clouds above the tower began to part. Color returned to the air. Blue, gold, green. Plants rose from cracks in the concrete. Water began to run through dead pipes. And the snow, the endless snow, started to melt all around the city. Nature pushed back, as if the earth had been waiting for this note. This voice, this moment. Lyra kept singing. Even as tears ran down her cheeks, even as the tower began to rise from the ground. Lifting her and the baby above the city, the cradle opened like petals, glowing with living light. Then a sound, not a song, not a machine, something new. A pulse that reached across mountains, through skies, into the oceans. A signal to the planet, it's time. Birds flew where there were none. Seeds awakened beneath frozen dirt. The planet, broken, poisoned, forgotten, began to heal. The soldiers fell to their knees. Their scanners broke. Their orders vanished. One of them took off his helmet and simply whispered. She did it at the top of the tower. Lyra stood in golden light, her child glowing gently in her arms. She looked at the world below, a world that once tried to erase them both. She didn't feel revenge. She didn't feel power. She felt peace. Then a shimmer. Behind her, a figure stepped from the light. Wearing a familiar mask, the Guardian, he removed it slowly, revealing a face she knew. Kale, not alive, not fully, but real enough, a backup of the man who once gave his life for them. He smiled gently. You sang it, Lyra, he said. You brought it all back. She nodded, barely able to speak. She's the beginning, she whispered. He looked down at the child, and you were the bridge as the tower lowered back. To the ground, the cradle quieted, but the world had changed. Skies were clearing, animals returned. Villages far away felt warmth for the first time in decades. Lyra stepped into the open world. She didn't need to run anymore. She didn't need to hide. Her lullaby had become a song for everyone, a song that would echo for generations. Not in machines, but in trees, rivers, winds, and hearts. The earth remembered her. And the world would never forget the woman who sang it back to life.